Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from the LaGrange Police Department, and also I have a guest on from the West Georgia Help. But before we go to commercial break, let me just say congratulations to the following firemen. Sergeant Michael Cosma and also Lieutenant Troy Reynolds were both promoted within the fire department. So I say to them, congratulations, young men. Now, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. As we get prepared for back to school and the kids to be starting to load and unload the buses, we want to make sure that they have a very safe and pleasurable trip to and from school. So to help with that, we have Wesley Ingle from the LaGrange Police Department to just give us some safety tips. Wesley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan. I just want to let people know, the school buses are coming out now. They're going to be making multiple stops. The kids just starting to go back. So they're going to be glad to see their friends. They're going to be a little more energetic playing. But when you drive by in your car, just be real cautious, slow down, cover your brake, just in case one of them kids do jar out in front of you playing, because they're not going to be conscious of the cars. They're just going to be so happy to be seeing their friends, going back to school, and just kind of being awake there and being energized and wound up a little bit ready to go to school.
That's right. Somebody probably gave us some chocolate that morning, right?
That's right.
And when school started last week on August the 8th and everything. Now let me just ask you, you talking about when you're going past a school bus stop and everything, and kids playing, a little horse playing there and everything. Give them some tips too, as they're standing there at the bus stop.
Yeah, the kids need to be cautious. The cars are there, the headlights should be on, because depending on where the child gets picked up at, or how early they get to the bus stop, some of them are out there at dark. And they're, hopefully they'll see you. Like, they need to kind of be cautious when they're playing. Don't run out in the road, and just kind of stand and be aware of the traffic that's coming by them and stuff, because we don't want no children getting hurt and stuff. And like when the school buses are coming, stand clear, let the bus come up to you and stop, then open the door. And usually if you're crossing the road, be careful to watch when you see a school bus, that you see the yellow lights come out, you need to go ahead and prepare yourself to stop. Because usually the bus drivers are waiting for the road to clear to put the red light out. And when the red light goes out, the stop bar goes out. Want everybody to stop, be conscious, because you don't know whether the kid's coming across the road. And children, they're not conscious of the dangers and awareness. They're just going to school excited, depending on what age they're in, or seeing their friends or talking to their friends and stuff. And they got to walk around the bus with a big arm that goes out so the bus driver can see they cleared it. And then when they're getting on and off, we want the cars to stop.
Very good.
And the only reason you wouldn't stop is if you got a divider or like a median, kind of like if you go past Troop High School, right before you get on the interstate, there's a median right there. But we had a lot of problems last year on New Franklin Road. I know it's a 4-lane, but it is not a divider in the middle. So if the bus is going northbound and you're going southbound, you need to stop for the school bus, because we don't know, the kid could run out there, and I'm sure somebody, we definitely want our children getting hurt out there on them school buses.
Absolutely. You were mentioning about, Troop High School and New Franklin Road, which are two of the main areas here that we see school buses because of Franklin Forest Elementary School and also Troop High School. And you talked about the caution light, the yellow light that comes on before the red stop light.
That's right.
And the bus driver will put the yellow light out there, and it is safe for cars to pass at that point, correct? Speak about that for us.
Well, they can pass at the yellow, but only reason the bus driver is going to stall for a minute in case they pull up and they see a car is not going to slow down. They're going to wait a few seconds before they put the red light. That way the kids will know it's safe. But if you see them yellow lights on, please slow down. Please try to stop, because the bus driver might not see the car. It could be in their blind spot, because the buses are getting like they're bigger and bigger, and they're getting wider and wider, because we're trying to cut costs and everything the county is, and to reduce the buses and try to get as many kids on possible. And I always tell people to be cautious around them school buses.
Okay, absolutely. And we know that it is against the law, and once you talk about this, it is against the law to pass a stop school bus when the red light is on. Talk about that for us, if you don't mind, Wesley.
Yes. Last year we had several problems on the Franklin Road. I wrote several citations for it. And a lot of times the bus drivers will write your tag number down. They will report it to us when they're able to get it. And then we make a note of that person's ran the stop school bus. And people need to look at, that's somebody's grandchild, somebody's child, and nephew, nieces, and you need to be cautious of it, because the children's not really going to pay attention especially just going back because they're, they might not have seen some people for all summer long, and they're at the bus, or they know they're on the bus. They're kind of excited, wanting to get on the bus, talk to their friends, visit their friends, see what they've been doing on the summer. And a lot of times people get in the habit where they're going, they're not used to the buses because it's been a couple of months that we haven't seen the buses. So I just want to let people know, be aware of them, that they're going to be out there, they're going to be making multiple stops, and they're going to be moving slower because, sometimes, the bus drivers, you got substitute bus drivers driving. Then, being a new school year, they might have added or taken away some of the bus stops to try to get the kids to school on time and stuff. And also we do that. The buses do have video cameras on there in case they have any problems on the bus, or it does videotape the cars passing the school bus.
Okay, and you have a number of great tips there, Wesley, that you brought up. Let's just talk a little bit about if a vehicle passes a car and the bus driver gets that tag number and give it to you all, do they get a citation?
Well, if we get them on video, we can actually pinpoint the driver. We could go talk to them. We could issue them a citation.
Okay.
I don't know what the fine amount, but it's not like a seatbelt, which is 15. It's a pretty high dollar fine. And I mean, like I said, and the bus drivers will call us and say, hey, we're having problems at such and such time, a car's passing. And once we get that complaint, if you might not have passed a school bus in the past, but once we're out there with the complaint and we see somebody and observe them, and that's what I was doing last year on New Franklin Road. I was videotaping them as I'm behind the school bus, videotaping them also, and it's clearly showing them running, not stopping for the school bus. And immediately I stopped them and gave them it was no warning. It was actually a citation because we're having a problem in that area. Everyone I stopped, I think I wrote 8 citations actually, and probably in a week and a half period.
And they have to understand it's for the safety of the kids.
Yes.
You made a point a moment ago that you have the arm that swings out that allows the kids to walk further away from the bus so the vehicles can see them. And if they're passing that bus and the child has walked out there, and as you stated, fortunately we hadn't had any kids to get hit here in the city. Yes. But we don't want that to happen either.
That's right. And the arm is, the kids, if they're going across a school bus, they've got a blind spot from the bus where they're actually, they need to know that they're safe to go ahead and cross the road. They're not just standing there so that the child isn't in the bus driver's blind spot. And the longer people don't stop and don't let the kids out, that's longer that's taken to drop the children off. And a lot of time parents are waiting for kids, and they're real excited about going to school, especially the little ones. The teenagers are a little more cautious than the little children because they're so excited. Second, third day back to school, parents are there. They want to tell their mom and dad or grandma who was picking them up how much fun they had that day and what they did that day. So they're excited when they get off.
That's right.
So they're not going to think about the traffic. So it's, as adults, it's our responsibility to step up and say, hey, we need to watch these kids, and that way they have a safe trip to school and back and forth.
That's right, very good tip. Talk about school zones, because we know that in all the school zones there is a speed limit.
Yes.
Talk about that for us.
Well, most of your school zones, when the school starts, you got your school crossing guards, which is very, very helpful. They help us direct traffic. That way officers are available for calls and stuff like that. Be cautious of them. They got stop signs, they got reflective vests on, they got reflective raincoats when it's raining, they got gloves. And they're just working part-time. Most of them are retired, and they just, want to make a little extra money, and they do pretty, they pay them around what they pay them, but it's pretty decent wage. And we put them out where we need them, like Troop High School, Lafayette Christian School, LaGrange High, we don't have one, but we got the crosswalk. And a lot of times the kids, are crossing against the crosswalk, and the speed limit's just flashing. It's got the speed limit sign. On Hampton Road's 35, most of them about 35 or 30 or 25. We try to, depend on the roadway. Now, when you get out in the county, like Callaway, I imagine it's a little bit different out there. But when the light turns green, especially around North Greenwood, a lot of the kids are not going to pay attention. They're going to be talking to their friends. Even though your light's green, you want to be a little cautious before you take off to make sure that the crosswalk is clear. And you got them crossing 4 different directions at LaGrange High School. You don't have as many crossing over there at Troop High and Lafayette Christian School, but you do have a lot of cars turning and a lot of traffic out there on Hamilton Road.
Absolutely. And brought up a very good point, because I can remember days of old where the kids would cross right there by the steps from LaGrange High School, and now they need to utilize the crosswalk area, correct?
Our school resource officers Officer Parks and Officer Bird, they usually get out there and try to monitor and stuff, help with the kids and stuff. And which Troop High, you don't have as, like I said, you don't have as much pedestrian, but Officer Bird, I know he goes out there and tries to get them to be at the intersection because, especially kids, when the school buses are there, you definitely, as a pedestrian, don't want to cut in the middle of school buses because you're in the blind spot of the car, and time you step out there, the car is already there. So we encourage people to cross at the light when it's green, when it says walk. If you're walking halfway and you see that it's changing, try to step up your steps a little bit and where the roadway's clear.
Okay.
And like I said, a lot of times if maybe you got to be at work, you might want to avoid that way. Take another way at work because you're going to have a lot of pedestrian traffic right there at LaGrange High. Because most of the kids go from the high school to the parking lot. Either the parents are picking them up there, or they're driving themselves, or they're riding with a friend. So you do have a lot of pedestrian traffic right in that area that the kids are crossing. They've got parking on the right side of school. You got the two down there by tennis courts over there. So there's all kids. Then you got a top one up there. So you got kids going everywhere. And then you got them getting on the bus.
That's right, absolutely. And talk about, as we get ready to close up, because you brought up another good point. With the school starting back, and then the bus is going to be here, you'll have a little bit more increased traffic on the roadways.
That's right.
As far as the citizens are concerned, what can they do, as far as like preparation, so that they don't get caught up in some of the traffic?
Well, like I said, Heard County started today. Troop County starts tomorrow, so there's going to be a lot more traffic. People that are home parents, where they stay home with their children, they're going to be taking their children. They're going to be going to school, and a lot of people is not going to be on a routine or schedule, so they're going to be running behind. So allow yourself that time, for the more traffic, the school bus traffic, and then some people might be stopped by to get breakfast at one of our local restaurants. So there's going to be an increase of traffic there. Give yourself that allotted time. And also give your child that little allotted time that they can get to school and get prepared. They're not just running straight in the classroom. Kind of get them awoke and get them unwound and be preparing themselves for a full day of school. That way they're awoke, they're awake, and they're fed, and some kids might get there early to eat the breakfast at the school. So make sure you give yourself that allotted time. Set your clock back a few minutes. Okay. Give yourself that 15 or 20 minutes. Because you don't know, there might not have been a school bus stop last year when you were taking your kids to school or going to work, but due to the increase of kids and people moving, they might have actually put one on the route that you take to work.
Okay, very good point, Wesley. We just want to make sure that our kids and the general public are safe as our kids go back to school. So I want to thank you for coming on the show today, and I definitely want to get you to come back on a little bit later on to talk about, because I know we got the football season that we will be starting up, so we want to get you back on to talk about that as well. Okay.
Also, we got kids, when they're getting out of school, they're going to be playing, they're going to be riding their bicycles, trying to remind parents to get them that helmet on and the knee pads in case they do have a wreck or something, and that way they're not hurt. And we want to be safe out there.
Absolutely. So it's all about keeping our kids safe and making sure that our pedestrians and also drivers over our city streets know and realize that our kids are going back to school, and we want them to have a very safe and happy school year. So Wesley, thank you very much for coming on the show today and sharing this information.
You're welcome, Alton.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Back more City Week in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have the Security and Safety Manager from the West Georgia Health, Cliff Bain. Cliff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, and I guess I should almost say welcome to the community as well.
Absolutely.
I understand that you are recently the manager for safety and security for the West Georgia Health, and you come to us by way of Kentucky. Talk a little bit about your experience and how you ended up here in LaGrange, Georgia.
Well, I came from a hospital in Kentucky, a large hospital there. I was a manager for the security department up there. And basically, the hospital went from having a proprietary or an in-house security department to having contract security. And with that contract, I came in as the manager for that contract. So that's how I ended up in LaGrange.
Okay, well, I got to ask the question, Cliff. What do you think of LaGrange thus far?
I love it, actually. You always do your shopping before you make a decision, and my wife and I did come down and we visited LaGrange. We love what you all have done for the downtown area. It's beautiful. We've done a really good job with improvements, and obviously West Point Lake being right here was another selling point. So, but it's been a real good experience so far.
Well, very good. We're very happy to have you here in the community. I know that West Georgia Health is very fortunate to have you there as the security and safety manager. Talk a little bit about your role. I understand you were saying there that security is now contracted out. Talk about your role there for us, if you don't mind.
Well, my role is basically that as the manager. I oversee all the security operations for the facility, and I'm also actually the emergency preparedness manager as well. So I help the hospital prepare for any emergency situation that arises and kind of oversee that stuff and help with the training and all the documentation that we have to do for our accrediting agencies.
Okay, all right. And then you're talking about your role, and I wanted the viewing audience to know you've only been here since July, is that correct?
Yeah, right. July 1st was my start date, my official start date.
What's your official start date?
Yeah, July 1st. So it's been, a lot of our officers that we have were already here. They worked for the hospital. Now they just work for our company. And so we have a really good crew of individuals working in the security department. So really good folks that are from the community. So they don't have to feel like we've got a bunch of outsiders in here working in the security department.
Well, very good. Of course, and a lot of times I know when the general public goes out to the hospital, they never think about security unless they necessarily needed them, and which we hope they don't, but we're glad to know that they're there. But let me just ask this question. When the general public comes there on the campus, what are some things that you expect of them as a visitor on your campus?
Well, we really just ask that they adhere to our visiting policies, that they understand that, especially in the emergency department, if you have a situation where a family member comes in, which is obviously a very stressful situation for somebody to have to deal with, but we really got to limit the amount of people who go back into the emergency department, because obviously we got medical professionals that are there trying to do their job, and having too many people in the back obviously is going to interfere with that. So, visiting policies we're a tobacco-free campus is another big issue. So we really ask also that, people adhere to that and help us out with that. We're trying to work with the community to make a healthier environment for everybody. And part of that is the tobacco-free campus, and we really strongly encourage them not to smoke on our campus, and obviously tobacco products as well. So if we can get them to help out with that, it would be great. Okay, well, very good, very good. And of course, I've been there and noticed that you have the signs and the placards all around indicating that the campus is a tobacco-free area. Now, as we go out there sometime when we see the security right around in the golf carts and things of that nature. Let's say, for example, you had a guest that was out there late at night. And their car was kind of maybe in one of the lower parking lots. Could they call on that individual to assist them to their car? Absolutely. We provide several services. Escorts is definitely one of them. We have the emergency call boxes there. If you had a problem with your vehicle, we'll do jump starts. We'll help them out with flat tires. A lot of different services that people don't understand that we do. But, we're there basically as a resource for our customers as well as our employees, and we really want them to reach out to us when they need assistance. So, again, the escorts and jump starting vehicles, lockouts will help out if they lock themselves out of the vehicle. So a lot of different services that people don't realize that we actually do provide. Okay, well, very good. And I know I've been there on the campus. We do see the little blue, I guess the little peg things, I call them pegs, but the little blue lights on them. Little emergency call boxes. Emergency call boxes, absolutely, okay. And those call boxes actually ring directly to the security officer's radio. So if you hit one of those call boxes, you're getting the security officer right off the bat. It's not automated or anything like that. You're talking directly to a security officer. Okay, well, very good. Keeping the campus safe there. You mentioned a moment ago about being tobacco free, and that is not only for visitors, but as also applies to staff members as well? Absolutely, okay. Absolutely. So, the visitors might see us talking to visitors for smoking and stuff, but we have to talk to the employees too. Now, the employees have done a really great job about also adhering to that policy. But again, it doesn't just apply to our customers, visitors, and patients. It applies to everybody on campus. Okay, all right, very good. And you were mentioning a moment ago in your conversation about the number of visitors that can go back to the emergency room. And I just want to create a situation and just ask if it's ever happened. Sometimes people go out there, like I said, they're under stress and they're upset, and maybe a family member has been injured or whatever the case may be. If someone gets out there in the emergency room and become a little irate, what is your policy on that? Well, we deal with it basically on a one-on-one basis. Security will probably be called to that to assist, and what we do is we come as a mediator, really. And we start with just talking to them and trying to help them understand what environment they're in. They are in a hospital environment. Of course, we understand that there's going to be situations in life where that stress gets really high, and the potential for frustration and people just being upset is going to be there. So we start as a mediator and just really try to talk to them and to calm them down and show that we as staff members are there for them, and we're going to do whatever we can to make that process easier for them and help them to cope with that situation.
Okay, well, very good. And just some common sense things too. Weapons are not permissible on campus there.
Right.
If you found someone to be in possession of a weapon, firearms, knife, or whatever the case may be, what is your course of action?
Okay. Yeah, if somebody were to bring in a weapon on campus, basically we're going to address it. We're going to come and talk to them about it, let them know that we don't want weapons on campus, explain to them why we don't want weapons on campus. And basically we'll ask them to help us out by securing it in their vehicle or giving it to a loved one, maybe that they can take possession of it while they're at the hospital.
Okay, all right, very good. And one of the other things that we notice sometimes, and these are just some common sense things, people will park the vehicles maybe to rush into the ER or some other parts of the hospital, but just some common sense thing, talk about what they should do, make sure that the possessions are safe and secure and things of that nature.
Well, usually during different parts of the year, and as we get towards the end of the year, we're going to see that vehicle break-ins will probably become more prevalent. And one of the things that we can do, and I encourage our staff members as well, is that anytime you leave your vehicle, make sure you're not leaving valuables visible in that vehicle. And the reason we want to do that is because that creates a crime of opportunity for somebody. You could have somebody who has a criminal mindset but not necessarily set out to do a crime. But if you have a laptop or a purse or something that's laying visible, it encourages them to take that action. So we really just ask that you secure your vehicles, one, and then also your possessions, that put them in the trunks of your vehicles or keep them with you if you can. Don't leave them out there visible so that it creates that opportunity.
Absolutely, and that's just, again, those common sense things. And our police department always tell our citizens to do likewise, just making sure they take that extra moment to take things out of plain view.
Right.
Yeah, and we have to understand too, Cliff, that the hospital is private property. Or if someone is there and they commit a crime, do you all as the security have an opportunity or have the right to make a case against that individual? Well,
if it's a crime that occurs against hospital property, then we have every right to actually be the victim, if you will, and file a complaint on behalf of the hospital. But if it's a patient or a visitor or a staff member who is the victim, then it would be up to them to actually file that report. But of course, we're going to assist with making sure that provide that opportunity for them to get a hold of the police and have them out there. We have a really good relationship with LaGrange PD, and they help us out. So, again, we're that mediator part. So we're the in-between guy. We help them to get that in place for them.
Okay, well, very good. And I know that you've only been here since July. I got to ask the question, though, maybe in your previous experience, what are some of the most common occurrences that you see that take place on campuses?
You talk about crime-wise?
Crime-wise, or just any other thing that you may have spoken
about? Well, the biggest thing, unfortunately, is going to be theft. A lot of times, when people are at a hospital and in the hospital environment, they've got other things on their mind other than their own personal security, if you will. And so we have thefts of personal belongings and thefts from vehicles and things like that. So those are probably the most common type of occurrence. Although, again, like you said, I've only been at West Georgia Health since July 1st, but we actually do a really good job of combating that kind of stuff. Okay. And we combat that in many ways. One, by having roving patrols where the security officers are out there monitoring. We have tons of cameras in place that help us with monitoring as well. So a lot of proactive measures being taken to alleviate or even eliminate some of those crimes that might occur on the campus.
Okay, well, very good. Well, Cliff, I'm going to tell you once again, I want to welcome you to the City of LaGrange and to the community, and we wish you very well on your job there. And thank you for coming in today and just kind of sharing some information about the West Georgia Health. And we have a great relationship. Patricia Rogers always helped me to line up guests, so I want to, again, thank you for coming on and sharing this information.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from the LaGrange Police Department, Wesley Ingalls, as he talked about our kids going back to school. So by all means, slow down, pay attention, and let's make sure that our kids have a very safe and happy school year. Also, I had on from the West Georgia Health, the Safety and Security Manager, Cliff Bain, as he talked about security there on the campus of West Georgia Health. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.